Welcome to Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventure, and from Victor Chevrolet and myself, happy Thanksgiving. And this week we go to Texas, and that's where my family shares Thanksgiving together. I'll tell you what, it's a great happy time when we all sit down at the table together and share memories, and some of us wasn't there. My father had passed away many years ago, but my brother and I got a chance to hunt together, my nephews, my nieces. We made a lot of memories on that table right there, and that's what Thanksgiving's about. Sitting down and making memories together. And a few days after Thanksgiving, your deer season is going to open up. And that's where you can continue to go out there and make those memories. Forget about the size. It's all about tradition, hunting together, and being safe. So happy Thanksgiving from Bob Folkrod and Victor Chevrolet.
Victor Chevrolet, Bass Pro Shops, and Alamocitos Ranch present Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures. Seven continents, 80 species, a 5-year quest in the making. High adventure, dangerous game, real-world training tips. This is Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures.
Host Bob Folkrod is thankful for the gift of family on this very special and personal whitetail episode of Winchester Legends.
My son David is here, and I couldn't be more proud of a son than what I'm in him.
I got the scope on him. That sucker was mine the minute he said yes.
Fathers and sons, grandsons and nephews, all brought together to celebrate Thanksgiving as only a family of hunters can.
That's a dead deer. Here comes a shot. Shooting.
The family that hunts together stays together. Never more true than here. So consider yourself at home.
When was the last time you hunted together? When was the last time you buried all your frustrations and got together just because he had an old rifle and you wanted to hunt together one more time?
Hi there, I'm Jeff Fernandez, Service Manager of Victor Chevrolet, wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Bob Folkrod is long familiar with the whitetails of South Texas, and big bucks are the plan on his nephew's 1,000-acre ranch. But more than that, this Thanksgiving hunt is about renewing the enduring bonds of family.
Happy Thanksgiving from Winchester Legends and myself, Bob Folkrod. This is the Folkrod family hunt in Texas, down to my nephew Jim's place.
Well, we started out getting property so we'd have a place to go hunt and we could take kids and friends, and now we've turned it into trying to have a deer operation.
Nephew Jim's 1,000 acres lies in the heart of South Texas's big buck country, the perfect location for a long overdue Folkrod rendezvous.
The last time my family was together, my dad was alive, and we was in Clark Range, Tennessee, hunting wild boar.
We had the Tennessee hunt that we did as a family with Grandpa and Dad, my brother, Bob, and myself.
He has that picture in his lodge today, and he understands what making memories are all about.
Bob and I have talked about trying to make something like this happen for a long time. That's what this whole trip is about, is bringing the families together and continuing on what was started a long time ago.
When you're sitting there with a shawl over your shoulders and you don't have enough energy to kick a cat out of the way, it's not about how big or how small or how much money you have. It's all about making memories, and that's just what we did this weekend.
Because Bob wants to devote all his attention to his family when they arrive, he's come in early to Jim's ranch to see if he can tag a buck for himself.
I got down here, a few days early just to spend some time with Jim. I hadn't had a chance to spend a lot of time with him. He lives in Texas, I live in Pennsylvania. Well, let's go get this deer. We got the whole family coming in. I want to get my deer out of the way if I possibly can, so I can spend time with the grandkids and my sons and everybody that's coming in.
Jim's put Uncle Bob into one of his elevated blinds, which proves to be the right place at the right time as the big deer start filtering in, soon after the sun begins to rise.
There we go. Here we go. He's going to end up going further out in a minute. Yep, that's him. That's not bad right there. This Thanksgiving buck is gonna go down. Ready? I think he dropped right there. Broke his legs right out from under him. Jim got his Uncle Bob a fantastic whitetail. I got lucky right away, and this big buck comes in, and we tip him over. That's a good buck right there, my friend. Yes. You've done a good job raising that deer. Let's go look at this bad boy. He didn't go far, did he? Oh, he's heavy. He's heavy. People are always going, oh, look at the G1s and G2s, and I always go, yeah, gee whiz, look how big he is. That's a solid 160 buck, and I would say that's probably my biggest Texas deer I ever shot. Oh, well, that's icing on the cake. Isn't it? Yeah. This family has no idea what they're in for. Start out with a bang.
Bob Folkrod's Hunting Adventures is brought to you by these fine sponsors: Vortex, Best of the West Rifles, Huskama Long Range Optics, Kinetrek, Kufaru, and LJ Blessings Ranch.
For everything Chevy, you need to visit Victor Chevrolet, the place where my family and I get our vehicles. If you're looking for a reliable vehicle and service, look no further than my friends at Victor Chevrolet. 7200 Pittsford Victor Road or victorchevrolet.com.
Although Bob completed his obsession quest taking over 80 animals with a rifle, his first love has always been bow hunting. He's teamed up with longtime friend and archery coach Mike Price to help make you a better bow shot. This week's archery lesson is brought to you by Heritage Archery Academy and these great archery sponsors: Easton, Hoyt, Limb Saver, Gateway Feathers, and Tactical Hearing.
We built this platform basically for my bow school, and this is where I practice from. It's 15 foot up in the air. You know, had a lot of targets setting over through here. So as my tree stand is setting here, I expect my deer to come from my left side. So right here's where I think they're gonna come, okay? What if I get a deer that's coming straight at me for whatever reason? Buck's chasing the doe, okay? Remember back in our archery tips, the first lesson that Mike Price came out? Stance.
The other point that we're going to make when you shoot an open stance, especially for hunting circumstances, is you have more rotational mobility. You can make a shot all the way around the tree stand that you're facing. So I think my deer is going to come from over here. So I'm going to change my stance. My tree stand is now facing this way because I think my deer is going to be over here. And the deer comes in, gets behind a tree. I present the bow to my target, and I come to full draw, and he moves very quickly. I want to be able to move over here without moving my stance and execute the shot.
Stance, that means where are you going to position your feet, okay? In my case, I'm going to always stand up like this, okay? Now I don't have to move my feet ever again, because you know that old saying, when you move your feet, the tree stand squeaked? Well, that could be bad luck or it could be poor preparation. But now I can turn around and draw my bow, no matter where the deer goes, clean up to where my bow is actually going to bump into the tree, all the way around to almost this side of the tree without having to move my feet. So even though stance was back into the 3D situation, stance is very important when you're in a tree stand too. Pick your feet up, set them down one time, don't be moving your feet back and forth, stand squeaks or whatever. So again, I'm sitting down here like this. I expect my deer to come from this position. Deer's coming straight at me. Maybe he's coming off to the right a little bit. I'm always gonna stand up and cheat this side. That way I can turn around and I can shoot all the way around the tree. All I gotta do is rotate my body, but my feet never have to move again. And again, it's that preparation that might just give you that extra little chance at that big buck.
With his biggest Texas whitetail tagged, Bob Folkrod greets his arriving family at the range for sighting in and the passing of a family torch.
Well, the gun that my son David and my grandson used belonged to my father, that I had passed down to David.
That was my grandfather's go-to gun. When he needed meat in the freezer, that was the gun that he pulled out.
It's a Winchester Model 70 pre-war, and it's an '06, and you can tell it's been used a lot. David's up.
I went to visit Dad 3-4 months ago.
It'll work right there. When I turned around to David and I handed him that rifle and I says, that gun is yours.
And he passed it to me. At some point in my life, I'll pass it to my son.
All right, Peter.
It was handed down from my grandfather to my father, and along the road it'll be handed down to me.
He'll tell about how he wound up with the gun, and he'll talk about this hunt right here. It's more than just a firearm, it's a memory maker. And memory makers pass on, and when they pass on the memories, people stay alive.
Eventually, when I have a son, I'll pass it down, and hopefully he'll kill his with that same gun.
It's been nothing but anticipation to come down and hunt with Dad.
Ain't that a heck of a story? Isn't that a way to keep your memories alive? Let's go have some fun and kill some deer.
To get the most out of their family heirloom, the Folkrods will be shooting Winchester Power Max bonded ammunition, featuring a tapered contour jacket, protected hollow point, and the bonded lead alloy core ensure flatter trajectory, deeper penetration, and massive yet controlled expansion for more one-shot kills. And now, hunters can enhance their shooting with Winchester's Ballistics Calculator, available online or as an app. Plug in your cartridge, chart its performance, and never be left guessing in the field.
This week's training tip is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition.
Well, I guess you can say I'm the old dog of the industry. When I first started bow hunting, there was nobody to go around and ask questions to. But when I started hunting, and I would listen to people saying, I put the arrow right there, right behind the shoulder, and that could be your perfect shot. But what happens if the animal is here and you shoot on that angle? You never got the arrow inside the vitals. You slid the arrow between the shoulder blade and inside, and it come out through his brisket, which leaves you a nice warm blood trail for about 200 yards and stops, and you're going, what happened? Well, it took me a lot of years to figure that that's not the place to aim all the time. If he's broadside, yes. But what happens at the time you shoot, he takes a step. Well, you went from being lungs to guts. Always aim at the opposite leg. It gives you an aiming point. Now I turn this deer around, I'd have to hit this deer back here, at the back of his lung, to be able to make the arrow come out on the lung on the other side. Let's turn him a little more and say, if you're looking at that knock, that's where I gotta hit him, to hit the leg on the opposite side. So think about that when you go in the woods. Whether you're hunting with archery, whether you're hunting with a firearm, where's the bullet, where's the arrow gonna come out? I guarantee that'll make you a better hunter.
This episode of Training Camp was brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. With Granddad's rifle zeroed in, Bob and David set out not only to hunt for a big buck, but to reforge the bonds between a father and son that never fade away.
My son David is here, and I couldn't be more proud of a son than what I'm in him. I mean, he's made a career in the Navy.
I spent 20 years in the Navy. I retired a few years ago.
And I tell him all the time, I thank you for serving our country, because we're down here in Texas hunting together because of folks just like you.
Dad's a good man. You know, growing up, it was a little difficult. He was gone more than not when he was building his career.
His mother and I parted, and they went one way, and I went another direction.
And when I retired, we reconnected with Dad, and that led to this trip.
It took us a long time to get together, but it was when it really happened, it was all worth it.
It's a tight fit in the blind for father, son, and nephew. But this is about not just taking a big deer, but the one that will be the best for the health of the herd.
We all squeezed ourselves into a box blind because Jim knew what deer he wanted to take out this year and what deer he didn't, you know, and this deer comes around and he's twisting and turning. Here it comes. It was a bigger buck than what Jim had picked out for him, and he cooperated, and this buck was coming in. Take your time. Take your time.
It was nerve-wracking, but to sit in the blind when you've got Bob Folkrod sitting over your back shoulder, it's not a bad place to be when you're hunting.
Transportation for all of Bob Folkrod's hunting adventures is provided by Victor Chevrolet. Check them out at victorchevrolet.com.
Hi, my name is Kevin Renna. I'm the Chevy sales manager here at Victor Chevrolet. I'd like to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving.
You know, like down there's the blind, but the wind right now, if we was hunting that blind, is hitting us right in the face, so we're gonna put up the blind.
Bob Folkrod loves to hunt out of blinds. Never one to be satisfied with anything out of the box. Bob's blind preparation begins back home in Pennsylvania.
You know, one of the first things I do when I get a blind is change everything onto it to fit my environment. Whether you believe in UV or don't believe in UV, personally, I think I do. So I turn around and basically spray the thing down and paint it all UV, and I let it totally dry. And then the next day I'll go in and I take and mix silicone and mineral spirits up, and I totally go on the seams, anything I can to totally make this waterproof. The manufacturer can't do that, you know, just to give you some insight on it. Why won't the manufacturer do that ahead of time? And I think there's some rules or regulations about if you make it waterproof, it becomes a tent and it has to come over on a boat in a different, you know. All I know is the thing isn't waterproof when I get it, but when I'm ready to go in the field, it's waterproof. And then I tie, it takes about 100 yards of parachute cord to tie on all the corners, and I use that instead of, you know, just trying to lean up a branch that I may have cut or tucked it back into, or whether I'm tying on natural man-made stuff or unman-made stuff to make it look and fit my environment. And that, my folks, is the tip of the day.
With assorted generations of folk rods sharing a South Texas blind, Bob and his son David have to pick the right buck to help nephew Jim manage his herd.
We had a couple of smaller ones come out, and I had them on the scope, and Dad and Jimmy were discussing which one, you know, should we take this one? No, let's wait on another one. It was very nerve-wracking, and when that deer came out, you still got to perform. You got to place that shot.
Yes or no? Can I shoot him?
I got the scope on him. That sucker was mine the minute he said yes.
Everybody ready?
You got him. He's down. Yeah, he's down. That is a super, super big buck right there.
Yeah.
When that deer came out, he shot that deer, and I was trying to do my best not to break down. Well, anticipation's killing the heck out of me. I think we ought to go look at him.
So he finally said, let's go. So we got everybody out and walking up to it. What a beautiful animal.
It's been a long time coming for us to have this moment right here. And that's the first time that I've actually watched my son kill a deer. Once you know it, he shot a beautiful 10-point buck. That's, my friends, is what hunting's all about right there. Sharing moments just like this right here. And my nephew's worked a lifetime to get a place like this, to invite us down for Thanksgiving and share a moment like this.
It got emotional. Nothing more could have been better than that moment, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime moment right there.
Heck with who cares what. I wanted to hug him and tell him I loved him and I was proud of him. Well, Grandpa would be proud because I'll tell old Dad's proud. And Grandpa was looking down saying, way to go, young man. Well, let me give you a little bit of maybe where I'm coming from. To me, it's not, you know, the size of these deer, but it's about being together. David and Peter came from Michigan and Dylan came down from Pennsylvania, and we all got together, we all sat around the table and give thanks that we all got a chance to sit down one more time. I'm telling you what, it's hard to put a memory on that. That's going to keep everybody supercharged for how many more years it takes for us to get together. So all you people that are watching this, when was the last time you hunted together? When was the last time you buried all your frustrations and got together just because he had an old rifle and you wanted to hunt together one more time?
Bob has made one of the most special memories of his hunting career with son David. Now he seeks more with grandson Peter, who hopes to surpass his dad's deer.
We got down here and I was kind of hoping that he would go first. Very excited to get out there and at least attempt to do better than him.
The pressure's on the young lad. We're sitting in there with my dad's gun, and now it's his dad's gun, and everybody's made a great shot so far, and now you're up to bat, and you got to squeeze the trigger and hoping that you make a good shot.
I was up all night thinking about it, wondering what I would see. Finally got out there, and we see that first buck, and all that could go through my mind was, you're mine.
Peter got in a blind with that same rifle, because it's going to be his someday.
My great-grandfather's go-to gun, 30-06, beautiful gun.
No, he's angling at us, so we don't want to shoot him down. We got to let him separate. And you got to wait for them other deer to get out of the way.
I've got his opposite shoulder.
Yeah, you wait.
I was a bit nervous. That thought of missing is always running through your mind, and in front of Bob Foulkrod, that wouldn't be that wouldn't be too exciting.
Okay, get it on his shoulder, and I'm going to give you some power. Get a full scope, take a good breath. Just breathe. All right, we just got to let him turn the right angle. How's that? Is that good? You got another buck in back of him, because that bullet's going to go all the way through him. That's a dead deer. We're just waiting for everything to be right.
It took a while. It took a while because it was sticking around the other deer, so I could never really pull a shot off. And I thought those deer would never move.
Okay, get yourself on the gun. Take the safety off. Okay, get on him. Squeeze.
I was waiting for it to get into its position, and boy, when it did, really got a big adrenaline rush. This would be my first deer.
Happy Thanksgiving from Victor Chevrolet.
It's nerve-wracking for Bob and grandson Peter, waiting for the best management deer to separate itself out. Now, a clear shot appears in front of the blind.
I was nervous, excited. You just get that feeling that you're gonna get a deer when you got Grandpa over your shoulder.
That's a dead deer. You just gotta let him turn the right angle. Get yourself on the gun. Okay, there he is. He's gonna get the shot right there. That nailed him. You see him? See him run in there? Yeah, you mark your spot so you know where he went in at. Good job. Well, I'm proud of him too, you know. I mean, he squeezed the trigger and made a great shot onto him.
It's very exciting to have had the opportunity to kill my first deer with my grandpa. If someone would have told me that my first deer would have been that size, wouldn't have believed them. It was more or less perfect for me.
All right, I'll tell you, that's a beautiful buck.
It's very exciting to be able to hunt with your family, especially to get your first deer and you've got all your family here.
Good job, young man.
My dad killed one day with that gun, and the next day I went out and killed it with the same gun. Just there's no better feeling, you know, than to get your first deer. It's something that you'll never forget.
Dad, son, grandson. Now it's Bob's chance to help his younger grandson Dylan take his South Texas deer before the Foulkrods sit down for Thanksgiving.
I got my grandson. He was being patient, 11 years old. Boy, he wanted to hunt deer awful bad.
I've been hunting with my grandpa since I was 8 or 9.
So we finally got a chance for Dylan to get in the stand.
When I learned that I was coming to Texas if I passed my hunter safety test, I was excited.
We took the hunter safety in Pennsylvania this year that we set on to it, and he maxed it just so he could come down here and get a Texas hunting license.
When I grow up, I want to follow in my grandpa's footsteps and become a famous hunter.
Dawn of Thanksgiving Day, and Bob and grandson Dylan are in the blind, waiting for another chance for the right management buck to separate itself out from the herd.
It's the one on the right. Put his head down. Okay. Okay, I want you to just look through the scope. Turn the scope up a little bit. Push that safety off quietly. There you go. It's a bad angle. We got a deer in back of him. Okay, we gotta wait.
When he said that was the deer we were after, I was a little bit relieved.
He just turned to the right now. Oh, he's coming at us. He's almost across. Okay, get on the scope. Get on the scope. Watch it squeeze. Get up there and squeeze. Squeeze on that shoulder.
My grandpa's taught me how to squeeze the trigger, not to punch it.
Okay, buddy. Whenever you're ready, he's broadside. Squeeze the trigger. There comes the shot right there. Give it to him. Shoot him. Atta boy.
Shot a little low. I thought I missed that thing.
Good job. Good job.
Very far.
I think he piled up right over there.
Now let's go find a deer.
You want to go find him?
When we got out of the blind to go look for the deer, I was still feeling pretty scared that we'd missed it. We couldn't find the blood.
Should be some big deep marks in there where he went across the road at. You see him?
Yeah.
Where? I don't see him.
When we found that deer, I was relieved. I was no longer scared.
Go up there and touch his eye. Make sure he's down. Boom.
It's been an awesome time down here on this ranch in Texas.
Look at that.
Got a unicorn horn started.
He does, doesn't he? He got one like that in Wisconsin. Isn't that heavy? Heavy, heavy horns.
What I'm feeling is excited because I get to go home, see my friends, and tell them I got a deer while they were in school.
I would like to thank my nephew Jim for providing a fantastic Texas adventure to come down here and hunt together. I would like to thank my son, David. I couldn't be more proud of you, my son. I'm proud of Peter for what a fine young man that he is. Proud of my grandson who came down here, and young man, shaking hands, looking people in the eye, and having to wait for such a long time. This was a deer hunt down in Texas, but what brings you together? It could be a rabbit hunt, a squirrel hunt, it could be a golf game, it could be just going to the beach. It's going to get the family together at a special time of the year to give thanks and make your own memories, whatever your sport is.
Hi, I'm Tom Smith. Happy, healthy Thanksgiving and a happy holiday season.
For help with all of your hunt booking needs, contact J&M Safaris at jnmsafaris.com. After your successful hunt of a lifetime, contact Wes Good at canadistudio.com for the finest taxidermy in the business. Be sure to follow Bob and all his adventures at bobfolkrod.com/TV and facebook.com/bfolkrod. And don't forget to hit the like button.